Hello, goers and fellow deadites. I am Brendan, and welcome to our life in horror. It is not just me talking about Demon Knight tonight. We got Macabre Matty on here as well. Hello, Matt.
What's up, Brennan? How you doing, man?
I'm so good. How are you? I'm so excited to talk about this movie.
Me too. I am. I have showered since we did our last live because I am wearing the same shirt. So just know that the shirt and me have bathed at least once each since then.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to know. I gotta get me one of those shirts. I
I'm gonna
just
find you one. That's my mission.
Oh, perfect. I just got a new shirt today. Actually, it was a gift from Black Fawn Studios. It's the Hyperborean.
That looks great. That looks creepy as hell.
Yeah, I
I
don't
want
know.
14 of them.
It looks like a comedy, like little bit of a dark comedy, but it looks like a lot of fun. So they just sent the movie over, and I'm excited to check it out. So Maddie, before we get into the movie, I'm sorry, I keep calling you Maddie. I know you like to go by Matt, but
I'll respond to pretty much anything at this point. So,
okay, where can people find you at?
all right. So, if you want to follow me personally, you can find me at mostly on the Instagram because I still can't figure out how to use TikTok that well. I just look at stuff. I don't really know how to do much with it. But at macabre underscore Maddie. And then if you want to follow Macabre Daily, that's the site I run and with had a handful of other writers on staff as well, doing a lot of fun, cool stuff. We're doing some giveaways. That's just at Macabre Daily on Instagram and also macabredaily.com. So please support them and all the great work our writers do.
Awesome. Then you're also a part of a podcast as
That's right.
well.
Core four, Jesus. See, that's the problem is I'm in so many things. There's so many things happening right now. And like October, I don't know about you guys. Yes, before I forget this, part of the core four, uh, core four minus one now podcast. So something three. We'll see how that turns out. Unfortunately, Aubrey has departed from the podcast. We don't know. Yeah,
What?
yeah. Didn't mean to drop a bomb. But unfortunately, we don't know. He just kind of decided to stop podcasting, and I guess that meant us too. Um, so yeah, it's just three of us now, but we're still doing stuff. We're still going to continue the podcast. Um, so yes, still good
Oh,
news there.
oh my God. When was this announced?
It all happened last week. We just posted something about it today because Aubrey had posted something to his stories, and we yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. So I hope like we all wish him the best. We really don't know much more than that. I guess he just doesn't want to podcast anymore, and so we wish him. We hope he's good. That's what we hope.
Oh, yeah, I hope so too.
But
You could always be like the Devils in the Three or something like that.
yeah, we're currently accepting. Like we're figuring out, do we fill a fourth? Do we keep it as three? We're not really sure, but we're still going to continue to do it. We have another episode we recorded recently, so um, well, we are persevering. That's not going anywhere. But shout out to my homies, Jordana and Mark Loves Horror. And other thing is like I just was saying like there's like a lot going on in October. So like I
Mm.
used to be like really excited for it, and I still am. Don't get me wrong, but I am also like burning the candle at both on dead ends at this point. So I'm feeling the crunch. I apologize. I'm missing out my core for homies on that shout out.
Oh man, I hear you on the October crunch. We are like, even like we just finished our like 2 weeks of just like busy nonstop action, and then I was like, okay, well, let's take like we only had two things going on this week, and then all of a sudden Sam was like, we're gonna do this too, by the way. And then like we had one thing going on before the Halloween, and then she's like, I booked us in for two more things as well. I'm like, the idea was to
Cool.
take the idea was to slow down here real quick, but it's okay. I love talking about it. So
For real. It's a good problem to have. I'll take this over any of my other problems any other day.
absolutely. It's a great outlet for me because I like get stressed out at work and then I come home and get to talk to amazing people like yourself, and my worries just like melt away.
Right back at you. Literally simpatico.
I'm gonna hit the comments up here real quick. We got Ryan Swayze, our amazing moderator. Thank you so much. He's coming in with the don't forget to like and subscribe. Think he's always on it. Absolutely fantastic. We got Rob Humphrey. What is going on, Rob? I'm at a mystery movie. I hope it's something good. Rob, with you, I highly doubt you're gonna like it. Let's see who we got. No, in the conversation here, we got A Night of Horror. Nikki, how are you? Obsessed with this movie since I was a kid. Hate that no one mentions. Uh, I can never remember. I was saying Geraldine and the final girl combos. I agree, and I watched it last night, and I totally agree with that. Here is Rob, upset about the Core 4 news, as well as Sam.
I know. I know. I for some reason I kind of thought in my head that everyone already knew this already, because Aubrey posted something on his socials, but I guess maybe not. So, anyways, yeah, we're still good though.
No, that's good. I have such a hard time keeping up with socials and stuff like that. So, this is
the nature of the
totally
beast, isn't it? It's like you got to be on them, but I also don't like being on them. So it's
yep. I know I'm at work conversing with people all day, and then I get home and I just don't want to sit on my phone. I'd rather sit in front of my TV and watch a movie.
Yeah, I want the good screen, not the tiny one.
Yep. Let's see. A whole bunch of people are popping in here quick. It's October, so he's hoping for a horror movie. They don't do those often though. Last one I saw was Talk to Me, and half the theater left in 5 minutes. I love Talk to Me. I've been meaning to rewatch that.
I would have seen it even if I'd seen it. If that was a surprise movie, I'd sit through it again. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. Me too. And then we got Christy from In Love with Horror. Hey, how's it going? I'm assuming it's you and not AJ, but taking a wild swing there. Okay, so I'm gonna get into some the movie synopsis and stuff quick, and then we're gonna dive into what we were talking about backstage, and then we'll get into the movie review. So Tales from the Crypt was released in 1995. It has an IMDb score of 6.7, a Rotten Tomatoes score of 42%. Ouch.
What? This is why the tomatoes are rotten on that site anyway. They're all rotten.
I know. I couldn't believe I just got my copy of Maxine, and there is a certified fresh score on it, and I would not fucking consider that movie certified fresh.
Yeah, we've already seen about the I guess there have been plenty of articles about the Rotten Tomato system being very rotten. So yeah, we can disregard their scores in perpetuity.
The synopsis goes as ex-soldier Frank Breaker is a guardian of an ancient key that can unlock tremendous evil. The sinister but charming Collector is a demon who wants the key so that he can initiate the apocalypse. On the run from the wicked mercenaries for almost 90 years, Breaker finally stops in a boarding house in New Mexico where, with the help of its quirky residents, he plans to face off against the Collector and his band of ghouls, preventing them from seizing the key. This is directed by Ernest Dickerson. It has a budget of $12 million, and its box office was $21.1 million. And this movie stars Brenda Backey, Thomas Hayden Church, C.H. Pounder, John Shuck, Jada Pinkett Smith, Rita Beebe, Dick Miller, and
R.I.P.
Yes, and of course William Sadler and Billy Zane. I do not know why they're not even on my cast sheet, and they're the stars.
Criminal.
Absolutely. Okay. So you said backstage that you had some memorabilia going on?
Yeah, so when I say memorabilia, meaning I got Billy Zane to sign my Blu-ray, and I have a wicked picture with him, and I forgot I had this until I pulled this movie out to watch it, which is why I should never get these things fucking signed, because I'll always forget, and I'll probably end up selling the Blu-ray at some point, totally forgetting that I had it on there.
Yep.
So that's my connection to it. I also have a print, but I don't have it framed up right now. That I got many, many years ago from an artist named Matthew Skiff, who did like a 15-run commission of this. Like his style is almost like pop art comic book style. So he did kind of a few, almost like a couple panels from a comic book, like an alternative movie poster. It's an 18 by 24. Super cool. And it's very unique. But yeah, that's the extent of my little mini collection. I would love to get a replica of that little key and fill with a little bit of blood, because that would be just the coolest.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to show you mine.
If you have the key, oh my God. Becky, look at that suitcase. Oh, that is wow.
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
so cool.
So we did manage to meet Billy Zane. So it is signed by Billy Zane. And then we got a key as well, because he did a couple of these. This was the second round of keys.
Wow. That
And
detail looks pretty great.
It's incredible. It looks just like it. And Billy Zane was even incredibly amazed by it. And he was like, that's probably like the closest thing he's ever seen to the movie.
Wow.
So this doesn't have blood in it, of course, but it does light up. And I meant to grab batteries before this, and I totally forgot.
Wow, that's the sweetest collectible I think I've seen in a very long time. Like,
I know. I was like so like hardened, and then I'm so upset because we met John Kesher, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, the year before, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I like had Billy Zane and then John, and like I'm waiting for Sadler to show up so I get him to sign it too. I'm like,
he pops around a lot of cons, so you could definitely catch him on.
I thought Sadler would be at like one of these. He hasn't been announced in a couple of years. Like I haven't seen him anyways, but I was like, got to get him on this.
That's so cool. Honestly, if I ever see Sadler show up, I'm sending you the links to any time he pops up, because I'm like, you got to get that thing. Got to complete the signatures of the signatures on that thing. That's rad.
Yeah, I can send you the link where I got it. I think he still makes them.
Oh well, shit, yeah. Please. So, and I love to support me some small business too. I'm presuming it's a smaller, like kind of artisan, not like some big company churning that out.
Yep, yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't have him on me or his name, but I know Sam has it. Improps Production on Instagram made that. Sam's already on it. She's on it in the comments. Everybody go check out his page. He does incredible stuff, and he loves movies. You should have seen him geek out. He kind of took over our conversation with Billy Zane because he wanted to see Billy Zane's reaction, and then he ended up getting Billy Zane's digits and stuff. And I don't, yeah, they're supposed to be working on something at some point together. I don't know how far those conversations actually go, but good on him.
But that's how some of these things happen, right? It's like you just meet somebody, you exchange some numbers, you have a conversation, and that just carries forward. So I hope that is what happened. I hope he's highly successful now. That looks amazing.
Yeah, I hope so too. I believe we're seeing him this weekend. Actually, he's going to be at the Niagara Falls Comic Con, which me and Sam are going to. So yeah, we'll probably end up picking up something off of him. I know we have our eyes on a few things already.
Awesome.
So I'm going to try to dive back into these comments already here because they're already filling up. Let's see.
They're probably all about gawking at that amazing collectible. That is, chef's kiss.
Quite a few. Let's see. We got Slasher Fred in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Slasher Fred, hello. And then they're just kind of talking amongst themselves. So that's good. So I guess we'll get into, I also have the Scream Factory Blu-ray as well. I got to watch it, and I watched the making of documentary last night too, which was very good.
Okay, I haven't checked that out yet. I'm really hoping that they bring this up to 4K. Like this, I hope they put out like a twofer with both this and Bordello Blood in 4K. But we'll see. I don't know where that fits.
I want them to, but I don't at the same time because I paid like a premium price for that fucking slipcover.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So I'm like, do I really want them to? Like, it still looks great, like with the upscaling on the 4K. I was like, or the 4K player. I was like, damn, this movie looks real good. I don't think they should touch it at all. What I liked about the in making special features was that Billy Zane's in it, and he absolutely loves talking about this movie.
You know, that's good to hear because, like, I think sometimes, obviously, celebrities are people, right? So they have good days and bad days, and I think sometimes if you catch someone on the wrong day, even if they like talk about something, they might be a little bit more withholding than they would normally be. So it's always nice when people are kind of they own their career and are happy to talk about it without kind of shying away from it. And he has no reason to be embarrassed. This is a great movie. Like,
Yeah, and great performance. And this was a little bit what I learned last night. I guess so, kind of a bit of a fun fact, but this is like before, like people didn't know he was bald, because he always had wigs,
huh?
right? So like he showed up to the audition and he had like opened up a literally like a suitcase and was like, "Which wig would you like me to try on and wear?" And they're like, "Nothing. We just want you to look the way you look." And so like this was before like the Titanic and stuff like that. So like nobody knew he was like bald until this movie.
Wow. Well, he owns it in this movie, so
Yeah, I'm really happy he owns it now because the first time I think I saw him was this, and then I saw him in Zoolander, and I love Zoolander. I've always like when I was leaving after meeting him, I just wanted to be like "Zip it, Zane," and then like walk away. I don't know if he would have appreciated that or not, but I thought it
I
would have
feel
been.
like he would. Like at this point, if you're willing to own Demon Knight, you definitely own Zoolander.
Yep. um, let's see. We got somebody new in the comments here. We got the movie canon. What is going
Yo.
on, Geo? And then we got Callister Daniel Garcia. Hello. Roach deserved what he got. Absolutely.
Yep.
Um. All right.
What a
So
name too. What a fucking name. There's only like
really,
two characters I can think of in name Roach in movies. It's from this one and People Under the Stairs.
oh, I've not seen that one yet.
Oh man, you got to bump that up on your list. That's
I,
a certified banger.
I know. Trust me. And I've been there. Did you have any idea how many people tell me there's movies you gotta bump up on your list? I can't. I can't even keep track of them all.
That's true. That's true. But I would definitely give this one a skip the line pass. That's
All
all I'll
right.
say about it.
Is it a good like Halloween vibe?
Yes. Yes. It's
Yeah.
not, I mean, it's not so much, doesn't take place, I'd say, in Halloween, but just gives off a little spooky kind of weird atmosphere. And it's also super quick, in and out, 90 minutes. It's funny, it's weird, great performances across the board. It's certainly a one of a kind movie. Like I remember
Mhm.
seeing it as young, like when I was a wee little shit, and I was like infatuated with it. I was like this, but I didn't even understand the societal context and like all the kind of subtext that Craven was hinting at. And when you get older, you can appreciate that stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's just a movie that keeps on giving.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out because I did. I made it a point of getting it on 4K this year,
It
and
looks great. I have
yeah,
that same disc. It looks superb.
okay, I'm gonna have to check it out then. Um, Let me see. Sam is asking if it's getting remade, and
Yes.
I think Jordan Peele's behind it.
Yeah, I think his production company's working on it, but I don't know if he's doing it himself or he's kind of just putting up the money for it in the distribution. But yeah, I think it's definitely happening. And excited to see what they do with it. I mean, it's certainly as relevant now as it was then, unfortunately.
Okay, so that'd be kind of neat to do. It's kind of like they get like a They Live because I think They Live would be this is a perfect time to remake They Live.
It's just so hard. They live so hard. Like it's so good that it's like, damn, you really got to come. Like you can't miss. You know, like if you're gonna remake, like it's kind of like if you're gonna remake something big and audacious, you can't you have to show up just fully ready to go. Can't have any cracks in your armor because people will pick up on it immediately. And that's a movie I think people hold so sacred. Even People Under the Stairs, I'd say, has some sacredness to it. I even say much like this movie does, to be honest. I think Demon Knight is like, I consider this a sacred movie. I consider it a movie that, like, if you haven't seen it, I will recommend it to everybody. Like, if you like horror movies, I do not like. I don't think I've ever met anybody who doesn't like this movie. I'm not saying they don't exist. There's always somebody for something, or rather, someone not for something. But this is just pure, like, this is pure B horror with money behind it at like peak of Tales from the Crypt supremacy when like I was still watching it on like HBO Um, I don't know if they were still making episodes up to this point. If they were the British ones, but nevertheless,
Yeah, I think the show had just ended, and
yeah.
then they decided to pump these movies out. And I wasn't, I didn't watch Tales from the Crypt. I'm too young for that to have come on during my age. But I remember catching this on Sci-Fi during Halloween season and never forgetting it.
Have you seen the like? Have you ever watched the Tales of the Crypt show? Like now, kind of on like that they're on DVD. I think they're only on DVD. I don't think there's any HD copies out there.
Yep, I got it back there. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I think I made it through 1 through 4, maybe 1 through 5.
1 through 5 are the best seasons. After that, it starts to. That's when they had a hard time finding like a home for it, so like moved all over the place. But yeah, the HBO years, those first 4 or 5 years, particularly, just there's. I don't think we'll ever get anything like that ever again, just
Yeah.
because of the time and the place it occurred. And that's why I think like this. When I saw this movie, got really. Like, I remember I was old enough to be excited for this movie. I wasn't old enough to go see it, but I was old enough to be like, when that comes out on video, you're fucking mine. Like that's, and yeah, I have loved this movie ever since I first saw it, and I think it gets better and better with age.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Speaking of, should we, I guess we'll do some spoiler-free thoughts.
Yeah,
Have you take it away?
yeah. So I mean, quick spoiler-free thought. This feels like it's ripped out of the pages of a EC comic, but it's perfectly elaborated. Never feels too long, too short. I think a lot of that has to do with the really great Tales from the Crypt bookends on the end of it. I love that episodic feel to it, especially when they lean into the Hollywood stuff. But overall, like this is just so much fun. You get good creature design. You get really fun characters who are like a varying mix of like interesting, unlikable, sympathetic, people you root for, people you don't. You have a whole bunch of character actors in here who just absolutely crush it. And yeah, I think this is just pure, to me, pure horror. Like this is just pure fun, no frills horror, and it's so efficiently delivered and told that you can just watch it and just get engrossed with it, and the time passes, and then you're done with it. It's funny, God, it's funny, especially Billy Zane's performance. You ho dunk, po dunk, what motherfuckers, like that's just so good.
Enough of this cowboy shit.
Yeah. Just it's so good. Like it's so quotable. And we were talking about, there was a comment earlier, like Geraldine, such a great final girl. She definitely doesn't get enough flowers for being as one. She's probably like the hardest final girl of them all, because like she's not like kind of demure, sweet. She's already kind of like got a chip on her shoulder, whereas most final girls are kind of portrayed as that virginous, like innocent type, whereas she's just like, no, like fuck the world, middle finger in the air. But it works. Like she has a true arc in the movie, and I don't think a lot of final girls actually get arcs. Instead, what they get is like they just survive, whereas Geraldine has a full character arc of kind of realizing that there's she has a part to play in this, or at least she has to step up, right? And like I could gush about this movie for hours. You'll have to stop me.
That's okay. I totally agree with everything you said. Yeah, I love the effects are great. The soundtrack's great. I love the book ending, beginning and intro as well. It did, like when you said it makes it feel episodic, it does. The Crypt Keeper, I don't think's ever looked better than
Right.
in
It
the.
even starts with like the opening of the series. Like that's so, like when I hear that music, I get goosebumps because it like immediately transports me into that moment of watching it on, a 4:3 aspect ratio TV, tube TV in my like living room or some shit like that, and just getting all excited because a new Tales from the Crypt was on. It just feels that good every time.
Yep. The character actors, I think they're all like A-list character actors because they've been working in the genre for I don't know how long, like decades. Um, Dick Miller has been in Gremlins, and Small Soldiers is something that I remember seeing him in for the first time.
Underrated movie.
Oh, hugely. I want to go back and rewatch it again, but don't know how well it's going to hold up.
It holds up pretty well. It's just a little darker and weirder than you probably remember it.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to check
Uh,
it out.
but yeah, there's like, I mean, there's so like CCH Pounder. Like, I don't think people realize that you've definitely seen movies with her in it. You've seen many movies with her in it. Um, Same with like she's got that just like Dick Miller. He's something like you always see him in something. The Thomas Hayden Church arc over time, like to see him in this and then to see him. I always thought that this is what like when you're younger, you don't understand nuance and like you think that actors are the characters they play.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that Thomas Hayden Church was the biggest dickhead. And I'm like, I thought this, like, just by his performance in this movie, I'm like, this guy's probably the biggest dick, probably the biggest douchebag.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's a nice guy. I have no ill will against him, but I didn't change that opinion of him until like Sideways came out. And even then, he doesn't play the nicest dude in that. So it's like, I would think it wasn't maybe until Spider-Man, when he was in that Spider-Man movie, like, all right, maybe he's a sympathetic guy now. Maybe, but even then, still a bad guy. So
I know he was the bad guy in George of the Jungle too, right?
yeah, he was. Wow. That's a deep cut. That's a deep Fraser cut.
he's like one of the only like I don't know, that was like one of the live action George of the Jungle that I grew up with in my time. So I remember him and Brendan Fraser. I don't remember the female lead, but I do remember the pretty rough looking animatronic gorillas. They were in suits, but like their faces were all animatronic. Quite the tiki
Yeah.
bird.
Yeah, that movie, I was like I just reached the age where I was like, I don't know if I'll find this good, because I just am like, all right, I'm a little bit past it, but I remember seeing the theaters. That was like the beginning of the end of Brendan Fraser's supremacy.
Yeah,
sadly,
yeah.
But he came back strong.
He did come back strong. I still haven't even watched The Whale yet. I've been meaning to. I just haven't gotten to it.
Heartbreaking.
I've seen clips of it, and I don't know if I'm ready to express those feels.
Yeah. You know? Wait for like when you're already down on something. Like, all right, we can't get any worse. Just put on something real dour.
Oh, okay, I'll try. Let's see. Okay, well, let's get into it because we both know that we both love this movie, and we can't talk about it anymore without giving some spoilers. So, describe this movie in 3 words.
So much fun.
Perfect. It holds true to the movie. I'm gonna say an absolute blast.
It is, because it's like a Carnival Ride equivalent of a movie. Like you're always entertained. There's something always being thrown at you. There's a quip. It's perfect.
Yep. I love this because of the backstory. I know we're going to talk about it like later on, but I think the backstory in this movie is so cool. Like the lore they set up.
Yeah.
And
the religious parts of it too are pretty, like, kind of interesting take on religion.
Yeah. I'm so upset that it was never explored in anything else. And oh man, do I ever want a sequel to this movie so badly?
Well, it would have been nice if they, in you saying that, it makes me think a missed opportunity with Bordello of Blood to like make that the through line of like somehow this is all affiliated with the same key or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really take that route, and I'm a Bordello of Blood defender, so but it's not near. But I will also acknowledge that Demon Knight is the superior movie every time, and there is just it. Even if they don't go too much into the lore, it's good enough that you don't like it doesn't, you don't require more, I guess, is the thing. Like the fact that it leaves you wanting more is a good thing, as opposed to a lot of time lore not done properly leaves you asking a lot of questions. This, I had no questions. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the blood. Cool. That's how that works. Cool. I was kind of thinking to myself, how does it refill? Is there any sort of supernatural blood refilling that happens here? But then I stopped those thoughts because then some green eyes shoot lasers out of them. I'm like, well, now I'm not thinking about anything else, because that was fucking cool. The demons look cool. Like they look scraggly and weird, almost like, I don't know, like like remember in Mortal Kombat they had like the big heads, cheat code,
I think so.
Kind of like these demons almost look like these stick figure frames that are these giant fucking heads on them. I love it. I think it's so weird and kooky.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't know. But who is your? This is a tough question, but who's your favorite character? It's so hard because it's such a great ensemble cast.
It is, but it's also like on the one hand, Billy Zane like is a very obvious choice because he's so cool and interesting. The other hand, like Geraldine's character is really cool. Like there's not like, you know, and I actually even think Breaker's like he's interesting, but I wouldn't even go with him. Like, but Irene's a cool. I kind of like Irene because she's just kind of this badass. Like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Irene. I like her no nonsense no bullshit attitude. I like the way that she kind of her way of viewing the situation isn't so much about who's right or wrong. It's more who's going to not get me killed or how am I going to survive this?
Yep.
And so I don't know. I really like the performance as well. And I don't want to pick again, I'm trying to be different here with my choices. I think like you're right. There are so many good performances. So I'm going to stick with Irene.
Okay. I'm going to go with the more generic. And I have a really hard time deciding between Breaker or the Collector, because I think they're both really interesting. Like I love Breaker's backstory. I wish we could have seen more of his 90-year span, like adventure throughout this whole thing of him like learning of what's going on, even though you're learning with the rest of the ensemble cast as we're going through the movie. But it just feels like he's got a way deeper, darker story behind his eyes than what is being told. Like you're just getting like a glimpse of what he went through.
Right.
As for the Collector, he is just so zany, so fun, just ridiculous balls off the wall, quips, so like overtly sexual towards everybody. I think he is just a blast to watch. He's the, I guess this is also ruining my best acting, but it's Billy fucking Zane doing, I can't remember what he said last night when he was talking about doing it, but to me, he's doing Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Yeah. I mean, he's chewing scenery left and right. Like there's no scene that he's not in where he's not just hamming it up, but it works because he's so genuinely doing it.
Yep.
And, you know, you mentioned the kind of the Breaker backstory. It's a perfect opportunity for someone to go and make like a graphic novel adaptation of like the Breaker years. You know, like that's the kind of, don't give me a sequel. Give me an expansion of this through another medium. Like, give me like this is what Breaker was doing before Demon Knight and make it like, I don't know, 6 different volumes or whatever. That's a cool way to continue this thing. I would pay for that shit.
I would too. That'd be really cool. I didn't even think about that. Who's your least favorite character?
I don't know if I have a least favorite. I guess, you know, I'm going to go with Wally. Because here's the thing. Wally was going to blow up a fucking post office. He is not a good guy, all right? He didn't do it, but I realize the man's been pushed to his limits, but someone that decides to go commit heinous violence, you know, that's not a good person. So I'm just going to, even though he does the right things and he's a sympathetic guy, and yes, Roach is clearly the biggest asshole, but also Thomas Hayden Church puts on one hell of a performance. You know, he owns that douchebaggery no better than anybody else. So I'm gonna go Wally.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I actually put Wally down first. Then I was like, okay, he's making some character redemption arcs, and then I totally forgot that he was like, I wrote it down because I thought he did do something with the post office beforehand, but then at the end you realize that he hadn't done anything, and it's like he was going to, but he wasn't quite there yet. And then I don't know, Roach throughout the whole movie just kind of got under my skin a little bit. I agree, he's like the villain that you love to kind of watch. Yeah. You know, not quite as great to watch as Billy Zane, but he is that kind of douchebag, like Trent in Friday the 13th. The remake. You know, you just love to hate him.
But he also does like it's. I look at it from the characterization of him. Like as a character, I absolutely hate Roach the most. But at the same time, like as a performance, I'm like Roach's performance like slays. You know, like when him and Billy are just kind of playing off each other when he's trying to convince him, you know, to step on his side. Like they're just two skeezy dudes vibing off each other, you know, and that works because they both give off that energy so well in this movie.
Yep. So who do you have down for best acting?
For best acting, I'm gonna go Jada Pinkett Smith. I think, again, sure, there's complexity in this, and I don't think it's just the writing. I think writing has a good part to do with this, but also she has a true arc as Geraldine, and you can see that. The way that she is in the beginning of the movie is very different. Well, it's not very different, but you can see that her perspective has changed. And I think that's not something you can do through scripting. That's something you do through like facial, like face, uh,
Expression.
like facial expressions, and through how you perform. And so I think that so much of what you see in her performance is she's not likable. She never really becomes like, she starts to become more likable because she becomes more like vulnerable, and then when she becomes a real badass. So once she reaches that arc, and especially the way she tricks the collector, it's great. Like it's great. Like it just works. So yeah, I'll give it. And plus, she got up in all that fucking red, gross shit. Give it to Jada.
Awesome. I love it. Do you think she would acknowledge, like Jada Pinkett Smith would acknowledge this movie now?
I don't know. I'm always convinced that people will do anything for money. So I think if there was ever a point where she needed the money, I think that there's always the, like, it's like, that's what kind of like why Jamie Lee Curtis started doing Halloween stuff. It's like paycheck's a paycheck, So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she would now. I would like to think she would, just because I don't think an actor should ever be disappointed in their work, especially if there's like nothing egregiously wrong with the production. Like, I could say, yeah, if you acted in like the play version of Mein Kampf, you should probably be ashamed of that. But like, as being the final girl in Demon Knight, that's not something to be embarrassed about. So I'd like to think that she would be humbled by any compliments for it.
Well,
But I
you
could
got
also see, her not wanting to, some people view horror as like the thing that they did that they wish they didn't, almost like porn. And it's like, that's an unfair, no one should feel bad about what any performance they did if they didn't feel bad doing it. So
yeah, I'd be curious because like even Johnny Depp rarely talks about A Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's where he got his
right.
big start, right?
And he doesn't have to. That's the thing. Like, he doesn't have to go to cons and like, sling his autograph for $50. Like, he's got money, So I think a lot of it is like, if a long enough time passes where someone needs the money, they will absolutely. I mean, Linda Blair now does cons for Exorcist after decades of like not doing it. She donates all the money to her dog foundation, like her dog charity. So like, she does it for a good cause. Like, I think there's always a way for people to use this to their advantage. But if they want to, it's up to them.
All
People
right.
would pay for her signature. I mean, hell, yeah, I would be sending you the link to the con. You'd be like, dude, you got to get her to sign that box. Like, you got
Yeah.
to get her to sign it.
That'd be like a $300 fucking autograph. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be, it would be a lot. I feel like it would be a lot, but who knows? When Our Life in Horror has a media conglomerate that is making millions of dollars a year in ad revenue, then you can be like, Jada, do it for us, and she will.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Once you make a bunch of money, then you get everything for free. So it's like, I don't know how that all works, but I'm trying to get to that side of the life. But do it respectfully.
Yeah, let me know and I'll hop on that train with you.
Yeah, hey, listen, if I find the secrets, I'll write the book and then sell it to everybody. So
Okay. So what do you think about the score and soundtrack?
So I actually used to have the soundtrack on CD because it has Pantera Cemetery Gates on it, and I love that song.
Yeah.
So there is a pretty good like metal score that's behind this thing. And the actual music itself, it's good. It's very generic horror. Like, I don't think it doesn't stand out to me like kind of like Christopher Young's, Hellraiser score does, like where it kind of sits with you.
Yeah.
But I do love that they have Danny Elfman's theme, in the beginning and the end. And I do dig the soundtrack. It's got a great selection of like mid 90s metal tunes.
Of course, the movie. Once we get into the movie, it starts out with "Hey Man, Nice Shot," which is
Yep.
hearing that song on the radio. I always immediately think of this movie and an episode of Supernatural for some reason. There's also the sound edit that is constantly used throughout the movie, and that is the Jaguar.
Oh yeah.
You could make a drinking game out of this so easy.
Yeah.
It is played constantly throughout the movie. Whenever the star on his hand moves, when else? There's like it's a whole bunch, and it's the same.
Whenever he drops the
You're,
little bit of the liquid and it like makes the little force field or whatever, kind
yep,
of makes the same. Like it's there's a lot of it's almost like the Wilhelm scream of this movie.
yeah, love that. Um, Other than that, yeah, I agree with the soundtrack. I think it's great. The opening and closing themes are awesome. I'm just gonna say hi to Mike here, or sorry, Frank. Frank from Media and Reviews. What is going on? And Sam is chatting it up in the chat. So what do you think of the cinematography?
So again, kind of like the music, it very much is like it does exactly what it's supposed to do. I think I give a lot more credit for the way this film looks to the production design more than the cinematography. Although the cinematography does take advantage of some of like the really zany camera angles and like zooms that I think work really well in some of the dream sequences that Billy Zane, the collector, kind of puts out there. So that kind of like weird tilt camera when it kind of zooms in there at a weird angle, like a corkscrew or something. Like I think that a lot of that's adopted from just the tone of the show. But again, it's like not like it's bad cinematography. It's just more just like it's fine. Like and I think cinematography doesn't always have to draw attention to itself. Like in a movie like this, I would actually be annoyed if like Ari Aster was behind the camera on this thing, because I'd be like, well, dude, like I don't need like an artsy shot of like someone shooting a demon right in the eyes. Like I just want to see the demon getting shot in the eyes and then zapping Wally against the fucking wall. Like that's what I want to see. So I think to that extent, like it's exactly what it should be doing. It doesn't present itself as obvious. It blends in perfectly with the rest of the movie, so it doesn't distract from the viewing. And it captures everything well. I think it's well lit. Like the use of kind of a lot of really dark blues and purples and greens is really nice. Stands as a nice contrast to like the crimson red that they use for the blood and the way that force field looks. Also, again, the high green contrast clearly pulled from obviously Tales from the Crypt logo kind of look. Like I like how there's that theme of the almost like Creep Show, but very much more subdued, where it doesn't fully adapt the comic color palette as much as it does just trying to pay homage to it in various different little ways.
Yeah, I love it. I think it feels like like it's just a really long version of an episode. Like
Yeah.
cinematography wise, like it doesn't blow me away, but it does like get the point across, and it does it well. I do like that you brought up the camera movements, because I think that those are always fun. As well as I think one of the most interesting shots is when Jada Pinkett Smith is being seduced by the collector the first time, and it's like this room with all these white drapes, and they're all just kind of floating around, and then you get the picture of Jada, and its hands are on it, and then it starts to get all bloody, and then it just boom shoots up, and it's Breaker getting his chest ripped open by all these demons. I think that was like an actual really nice shot.
It was like a Calvin Klein ad from the 90s. That's what that felt like.
Yeah,
They were big on those like monochromatic looks. And it's one of those things that I don't think it's a reference that you need to know, but it's also like if you were of an age at that time where you could pick up on, you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what that is. It's one of those fun little things that happens as you get older with older movies. You can appreciate the little nuggets of callbacks, but as younger generations will be like, oh yeah, it's a black and white scene, looks pretty cool, right? So.
yeah. We also got to talk about the comic book aspect when Danny is eating up Breaker, and you're getting the switch back and forth from events happening on screen to the events happening in the comic book. I thought it was really interesting. It felt very like almost creep show esque.
I mean, that's what I think makes this film so cool, is that each of the dream sequences is almost like a little mini anthology within this movie, because they're so well realized. Like the part where I think his name's Willie,
Uncle Willie.
Uncle Willie, like where he's in that like tiki bar, and it's all just kind of set up like these. The thing is, like these are probably like really like probably shooting on like a soundstage, just different parts of it. So it's not like they've have these massive sets so much as like they're just so well realized. So yeah, I thought that just the way they move between each of those, it's just so much fun. I think that's what makes it kind of so exciting, is that you're not seeing people die the same way every time. And then the kid turns into the grossest fucking little, like the littlest shit I've ever seen. You know, he's awful.
Yeah, I know he's one of the best looking ones. Fun fact: this was actually shot in an aircraft. One of those
There you go.
big things. So all the sets were built on one location. I think even like I can't remember if the building itself was done there, and then they just use like forced perspective. But like even like we Sadler there was talking about how like the dirt during like the Jesus scenes where pretty much brought in all this dirt that was mixed in with like manure, so everybody had to evacuate the set because it smelled so bad in there that they couldn't even work in it.
I mean, the stuff they'll do to make movies, like that's why watching the special features is like criminally underrated, because you'll learn so many fun little weird stories. And like you also realize how like it is a literal miracle that movies actually get made sometimes because of how many things go wrong or
Yeah,
could go wrong.
well, you think like that's got to be like the cheapest option for them to get like dirt in there, so they're like, "Yep, we're gonna do that," and then they probably lost a whole day of shooting.
Yep. Or you just deal with the shitty smell, you know. Um, depending on what point in time you make a movie, or period in time you made a movie, it really dictates what you can and cannot get away with. Toby Hooper in like '74 is a very different union, and SAG-AFTRA would never let that happen today. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. um, favorite costumes? Got any?
I really like the look of the demons. Like I said earlier, I think that they're really different. They kind of look a little comic booky, because they have these really strange proportions. The way they kind of move, you know, all gangly and uncoordinated. I really like that. There's one thing I would constructively say about the movies, that they don't use those enough. They kind of feel like they're just there as set dressing most of the time. They're really only threatening in the beginning. And then the rest of it's more just Billy Zane, the collector, being the threat. So, but again, like small gripe, because it's not like the movie's any worse or better without it. I wouldn't even, it's a Schrodinger problem. I don't know if the movie's better or worse without more of them, but it's just fine the way it is now. So
You're lucky you got them because you almost didn't get those crazy little demon characters.
really,
Yes, they were gonna do. Billy Zane was gonna do his thing, and then they were gonna have. They were almost basically gonna be human with just some demon-like features, like what we got with the characters later on that were possessed. But the effects guys were like, "Nope, we're gonna do these because these look awesome, and it's gonna feel totally like Tales from the Crypt." So yeah, you almost didn't get them, and they decided to make them more like '90s grunge metal. So if you look closely, you can see like one has a nose piercing
yep.
and like kind of like the different hairstyles on the one guy with the ponytail coming up. And I didn't look at it this closely, but some of them have like nipple piercings and stuff like that. So if you look close, you'll be able to see some demon nipple piercings.
Trust your effects guys. That's
Yeah.
the lesson of that story.
As for the rest of like the costumes and stuff, I think every character is kind of dressed to their own personality.
Right.
So that's something that didn't really stand out, but it's something I appreciated. Like, um, Reacher is like this biker. You got the collector that's like this almost like a martial cowboy. Um, Uncle Willie's like old trucker. And then you
Yeah.
got like the one that switches like the look the most is Roach, because when he's got like this Hawaiian shirt with like a white shirt underneath of it, but when he comes out later, he's got like this netted, super tight fitting, like see-through white shirt. And it's just
Yeah.
like, oh,
He's also big on getting his nipples absolutely roasted. So
yeah. Yeah, so I like that aspect of everything, is that they get their own look. Um Favorite scenes. You can't say the whole movie.
no, God, I really like when they like when we realize that the collector isn't a good guy. Like we already know that as the audience, but like when everyone else realizes that, when they're like, he's about to arrest Breaker, he's he thinks he's won. He's like, okay, well, could you just give me that? He's like, no, the car is stolen. You're coming with us too. It's like, we're gonna have to find out. He's like, you really says something like, you really should. If you only knew who I was. He's like, well, we'll better time. Well, we're about to find out. He's like, well, why wait? And he turns around and punches the sheriff right through the face. Like, I love that scene. Like, I think just he can't get the head. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but he couldn't get the head off either. And so it's like really funny and like everyone's freaking out. Irene throws up. Like it's amazing. It's pure pandemonium, and I love it. And then it kind of leads into that section where he he kind of condemns the house and throws his blood everywhere, and we get those great little like pods emerging and pustulating. So yeah, I just love the introduction of like the problem, right? I guess I'll just call it that.
Yep. Oh, I love it. Let me see. I like all the seduction sequences, as well as like we've already talked about it a little bit, but we can't not discuss having the Tales from the Crypt opening as like one of the best scenes. I especially love when the Crypt Keeper is like telling the guy he's a shitty actor and comparing him to like Gory Hooper and stuff like that. Like I love the puns.
Only the Crypt Keeper can get away with those puns, by the way. Like anybody else tries them, I'm just like, what are you doing? But when it's John Cassier's voice, and I'm just like, God, please, more of that.
Yep.
By the way, did you know that he'll record voicemails for you if
Yep.
like when you meet him? Like I haven't met him before, but he's on my list of people to go see just so I can have him do that and then never change my voicemail ever again.
He's so fantastic. He is such a nice person, and he will talk to you for as long as you want to talk to him.
No, he's always seems like I'm just happy to be there.
Oh yeah. And there's another podcast that I used to listen to that has their opening and their little channel segments are all done by him.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I wanted to do something like that too. And then I'm like, I can't copy them. Like, we got to find something else. We were hoping to meet Tony Todd this weekend, but he canceled. I'm like, maybe we can get like Tony Todd to do the opening because that guy has such an iconic voice.
Yeah, I could get him to like leave a message in the sands of time, or what is it? Something of time. Like, just get him to say something just real seductive. And Daniel, oh my God, what's the Robotide esque?
Yep. That was our plan, but he canceled out last minute.
Womp womp.
Yeah. I really love finding out Breaker's backstory as well as one of my favorite sequences. I love that it's like World War II, you don't get a whole lot going on. And he never explains past that point, like what has he been doing for the last 90 years? Just running from place to place. It's just wild to me. I just want to know more. I want to know so much more. But that's all I got for favorite scenes, because otherwise I'm gonna end up like just going through the movie beat by beat here.
Yeah, and you could tell him like you could throw a dart at any scene in this movie, and that's a great scene. Like, is it the best scene? Maybe not, but they're all really great.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you with the opening, finding out that the collector is a bad guy, and I do love when his hand gets stuck in it, and then he can't get it off, so he ends up punching Breaker in the face with it while he's on the ground.
It's like slapstick. It's like, because it's not scary, it's funny, but it's also like it's like horror. Like it's almost like Evil Dead 2. It has that frenetic energy of like, what's going on? Oh my God, I'm overstimulated, but I love every second of this. Like it's just everything's happening all at once, and it's pure chaos, and it looks that way. And that part of that's the editing, but so much of that is just the way that things are set up and how they move. Like, again, he can't get it off. Everyone's screaming, punches Breaker, and then he like throws it off, and the other guys catches it. Like it's pure comedy at that point.
Yeah, maybe that's why Sam isn't a big fan of this movie, is because it's too overstimulating. Sam, I want you to answer in the comments.
It does have frantic energy. Like this is the Four Loko of like storylines.
Yeah, like I remember the first time we were watching Evil Dead 2, and we didn't watch the first one beforehand. I just showed her Evil Dead 2 the first time, and we were on mushrooms. And yeah, so that first like 15, like maybe max 20 minutes goes by so fast, and it's so frantic and overpaced. And she's like, I don't think I can handle what I'm watching right now. Like, I don't even know what's going on. And I'm like, just enjoy it. You'll love it.
there's a weird lull in the middle of that movie that's so odd because you're just like, it feels like getting off a roller coaster. You're like, what the fuck is going, like, where am I right now? And then you're like, wait, now you're explaining backstory. Like, who are these people? Why'd they show up? Why are people in these woods?
Yeah, I know the switchover from like, because Bruce Campbell has always said that like you can like cut the movies so they all like go together as one, and like I find that that's where the time gap is the switch from where Evil Dead like the first one would end, and then the second one would actually pick up.
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of where I always find the uh the lull always seem to be. Seems to that movie fucked her up. Yeah, you got Linda dancing around with no head on and stop motion.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just a movie designed like, all right, what's the craziest thing we can think of next?
Yep.
Like, I love that about it.
Oh, I skipped pages here. Whoops. I'm on the wrong page. We'll go with memorable lines.
I mean, clearly there's the, you fucking ho-dog, po-dog, piece of shit, like that's just great. But also, I like the line the one where he's, like you said, if you only knew who I was, like, well, we're about to find out. Why wait? Like that why wait delivery is so perfect. I love it. Wouldn't change a thing about it. That's it.
That's it. Let me see. I got some like kind of cheesier ones. I got the director. Where did they dig this? Where in the hell did they dig this guy up?
I mean, the puns are outstanding.
Yeah. So there's get that pussy off the table. I meant the cat. That still makes me laugh. Like makes me very giggle. I got another one by Pounder too here. She says, "No, that's me giving you the finger with no arm."
Yep. She's got a couple good singers in there.
Yeah, she did. If it makes you feel good, do it. That was another one. That's a Zane line there. This might. Do you have any lines disliked? I guess.
No, I mean, there's nothing that I heard in here. I was like, wow, that feels out of place here. Yeah, this all like the script in this is very tight from my perspective. Like, and it's also again not like so bound in its time where like you watch this and you feel like, oh, this feels like a 90s movie or something. Like it does have this evergreen quality to it. So no dialogue I changed, nothing I disliked.
Yeah, okay, I'm in the same boat then. This is a tough one, but favorite kills or favorite kill?
Favorite kill. I really like when Dick Smith just absolutely loses his shit. Like, I like seeing Dick Smith all in that makeup, running around, causing havoc. So maybe it's not a kill per se, but just his like scene of like, because does he end up he
You're talking about Miller, right?
Yeah. Is he the one who rips off Irene's arm, or?
Yes, I think so. Oh, maybe not. Was it Cordelia?
Is it Cordelia? I'm still sticking with my answer of Dick Miller, but I'm trying to wonder at what point she loses her arm in the movie.
It might have been Dick Miller's part then.
But yeah, I just like when he goes absolutely, like off the wall, insane, because Dick Miller's a great actor. He always kind of plays like, a drunk uncle, which Uncle Willie, right? But also just seeing him like own the makeup and go full into that character at like, what, he was probably in his 60s then. I mean, legend, fucking legend.
Did you know that was Dick Miller's first movie wearing prosthetics?
I didn't, but it kind of makes sense because before that he didn't really. I guess he wasn't he in Little Shop of Horrors? Am I remember this correctly? I may not be. Yeah, that's okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, well, now you
learn something new every day.
Yeah, that's what I learned last night. So unless the guys in the movie are in the in the special
They're
features
full of shit.
lying to me, yeah.
That's what Dick told us.
Yeah. I think I also put down like Billy Zane's like punch through the cop head because I think that's fantastic. But I also really like Breaker's death, because that shit's dark.
Yeah.
Like that kid like rips his chest open and then jams his tongue into his chest and is like moving it all around. It's fucking gross.
Yeah, that kid creature design was something else. It's pure Beavis and Butthead energy. Like it's such an MTV looking animation. I'm like, oh, that thing's so gnarly and weird. I love it.
Yeah. Let me see. Said yeah, he was from 1960. He was also
Bucket
in
of
the movie
Blood. That's
Bucket
what
of
I
Blood.
was. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
But he was in Little Shop of Horrors. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't making shit up. It was first in Fouch.
All right, least favorite kill?
I don't think I have one, to be honest. I think all of them happen on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really think of one, to be honest. Do you have one?
I just put Uncle Willie because I like Uncle Willie a lot.
Just didn't want him to die.
Yeah, so it's pretty upsetting to see him die. I think it's because like you hold that nostalgia of seeing him in like absolutely everything growing up.
Right.
So it's like you still don't even want to see him die. Like even in Gremlins, you didn't want to see him die, and he doesn't, because of the ending. But yeah, you just don't want to see him die as a character because you just love him so much.
I mean, he is very sympathetic. Like I do feel like if there's any point where like I'm actually feeling emotional for any character in this movie, it's definitely when he like takes that drink. I'm like, no, don't do it, Willie. It's bad alcohol. It's bad. The liquor's bad.
Yeah, and he cares so much for Geraldine. Like cares so much for her, like a daughter. It's really something. Like he just goes right in to protect her right away.
Sells Breaker out right away though. I know exactly where he stashed it. He watched him do it in front of my eyes and even realize it.
I think that was the booze kicking in there on that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sam's got the. Oh, that's not. Omar, what's up? This is a new person in the chat. I love the Crypt Keeper. I haven't watched this episode. Thank you. And then Sam. Here we go. This is Sam. Giddy.
Yeah. She's she requires attention and affection.
Hello. I'm surprised my dogs aren't down here, to be honest, or at least one dog. We've kind of talked a lot about the special effects, but do you have anything else to add?
No, in fact, I'm just looking up right now who did them, because I think they're not like. Does it say here? Production design, art direction. Yeah, so like there's not like in the makeup department, like, there's not a lot of. Again, I'm not like some, I don't have a lexicon of information about makeup folks in the back of my head or anything, but I think it's actually really good. But it also doesn't have like, anyone I would say that has like that marquee pedigree name. But I don't know enough about special effects names and people and talent to say, but I think they all look outstanding. Like, Todd Masters. Okay, wait. Yeah, it's this Todd Masters company. So yeah, I know who that is. All right. Yeah. So yeah, this is 10 out of 10 effects work.
I agree. To at least 10 out of 10. One thing that I've always loved about older movies is the CGI lightning effect. Yeah. I don't know why, but ever since like Terminator and Terminator 2 and some other older like 80s movies, I find it so charming whenever I see it. I love it. And I love the fact in this one it's green rather than like the classic lightning blue that we see in all the other movies. Aliens and 2 it's also in there. There's just something about it. It just brings me the warm fuzzy feelings every time I see it.
It's like Ray Harryhausen stuff. It's like, it's like obviously we have better technology now, but when you watch it, it's very endearing and charming. You're like, ah. And to some extent, I always make the argument that like practical effects, I think the reason like people like them so much more is because you actually had to create that. So like you are actually making the imaginary real, whereas you're not really doing that physically with a green screen. So I always find that like, you are making nightmares in these movies. And I think that's why we love it. We love it so much.
And it creates such a heart. It's so hard to do. Like it's such a talent to be able to bring these things to life the way they do.
Heavy agree.
Let's see. Sam says that the dogs are in bed with her farting it up. Let's see. Somebody was asking in here. I love the Crypt Keeper animated series.
Oh my god, me too. I have like a bootleg Blu-ray of them in this closet somewhere.
Do you? Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
actually, I think if I can find it in like 2 seconds.
I think they're all, at least the last time I was able to watch them, and I didn't watch very many, but they were streaming on Tubi, I believe. Somebody could quote me if I'm wrong.
Found it. Yeah, some in the good old days of trading shit with people that make things on the internet.
Nice.
This gentleman put these out, and yeah, they're a lot of fun. There was also like, this is around the time when we also had like the Beetlejuice cartoon
Yep.
and the real Ghostbusters. There was a lot of really good horror cartoons on.
Courage.
Courage.
You know, Cowardly Dog. That was like my first introduction to the Tales from the Crypt was the cartoon growing up.
Really?
Before the movie, yep. Like at a very young age was watching the cartoon.
It's gateway horror right there. I don't know if there's any sort of equivalent now for kids if they wanted to get into horror, but there's nothing like marketed directly to them. Although I don't know. I feel like
I don't think there is. I think me and Sam were having this conversation with somebody the other day about how like even in Disney movies back in the day would still hold like one scary sequence within them, and they just don't seem to particularly do that. I don't watch Disney movies anymore, but they don't really, even like growing up, like with my brother growing up too. Like I don't remember there being anything in Finding Nemo or The Incredibles or Cars. There's not like
no.
one scene that stuck out that was like that's terrifying. Like The Fox and the Hound is an incredibly sad movie, but there's that scene where that fucking bear is fucking shit up. Incredibly terrifying.
Or the Brave Little Toaster. Ask anyone my age about the Brave Little Toaster, and they'll fucking be traumatized by the goddamn vacuum cleaner. You know, like that. The whole thing is an absolute like exercise in fear. And you're right. They like, I don't know why I don't watch a lot of children's programming. Don't have kids. No reason to. So, but I have nieces and nephews, and I've never seen them watch anything. It's children's programming that is like directly targeted, trying to entice them to watch something a little scarier.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe there's like a space out there for some horror hosts to like focus on just getting kids into horror. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
love
going to be me. I don't like kids enough to.
same.
to do
I love that you
so,
brought up the Brave Little Toaster. What a trip of a movie.
a great movie.
It's great, but like it's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, it's scary. It's genuinely scary in parts. Like, same with like the Never-Ending Story. Like, there's just parts in that will stick with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Page Master.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
good old Macaulay Culkin,
Yeah.
king of the '90s.
We're getting way off topic here, but
Story of my life, man.
that's okay with me. So we're on storyline and pacing.
10 out of 10. I mean, the story is like, it goes just deep enough to like not leave you wanting anything, significantly at least. And then, but the pacing is like, that's what makes this movie work. Is like, this is the time when like 90 minutes was too long for most movies. So like or 90 minutes is like the goal. Anything longer than that is too long. So nothing about this movie overstays its welcome. Even the bookends, like the actual story itself is probably only like 70 minutes or 60 to 70 minutes, I'd say, because the two bookends are probably at least 5 minutes a piece. So movie's only an hour and a half, right? So it's like it's just a nice, quick, gets in, gets out story. But that's what makes it so impressive, is that you actually get good character development, good performances, characters that are interesting in such a short period of time. And there's so many of them. The fact that they all are singular in their own representation and don't take up too much screen time or don't require all this kind of exposition, plot. Like, I think Wally's the one we only get real exposition for. Everything else is kind of in conversation. So, yeah, the pacing is what I think makes this movie, part of what makes this movie so successful is the pacing of it all.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, like within the pacing, you get the backstory, you get enough for every character to shine. Like you said, you don't feel like sometimes you're not wanting more with the story, but I feel like I want more from this story. I do want this world explored that this movie is set up for me. So a sequel is in order for me. I would not want a remake of this movie. I would love to see like a legacy sequel with Jada Pinkett Smith returning to pass her key on.
Yeah.
I know, it'd have to be set like stupid in the future, but I don't know. It could work.
Listen, I know it will work if you have just bring back Ernest Dickerson, see if he wants to come back. He seemed because because he didn't write the script, but directed the shit out of the movie.
Yeah, and he had a great time on set too as well.
Yeah, get back these writing crew of Ethan Reef, Cyrus Voris, and Mark Bishop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this was originally a spec script that they picked up, and then they turned it into this Tales from the Crypt movie.
Huh, I wonder if that's what they did with Bordello's Blood too, because they both feel very similar in scope in terms of they like just feel like something that they feel like ideas that aren't fully fleshed out. This is the most fleshed out of them, but Bordello Blood definitely feels a little bit more like a rough draft made into a movie that just has Dennis Miller. I know Dennis Miller was an absolute nightmare on that movie. There's an entire podcast series about how awful Dennis Miller was on that movie and how interesting of a film setup that it's. I forget what it's called. I'll look it up right now. Fuck, my friend Lowell recommended it to me a long time ago, and I listened to it. It's great.
Okay. It probably was a spec script because they did take the script and rewrite it to make it feel more Tales from the Crypt. That's what they were saying yesterday. And actually, this was supposed to be a trilogy, like just a trilogy, all different stories. And the first movie was actually supposed to be From Dusk Till Dawn.
Wow. I could see that. But then that would make Bordello of Blood like redundant. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be From Dusk Till Dawn, Demon Knight, and then either Bordello of Blood, or they could have switched it up to kind of change the tone of the movie, I guess.
And by the way, the name of that podcast is How Not to Make a Movie.
How not to make a movie?
Yes.
Okay. I'm writing it down right now. Movie. All right. I guess we already talked about our favorite scenes because I screwed up and I messed up my papers. Do you got any least favorite scenes?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
There's nothing I would take out of this movie.
How about anything to add to The Killer, which I am gonna say is the Collector?
I mean, the Collector's a great character. I don't know if anyone else could play it as enthusiastically as Billy Zane does. That's not to say that it's not possible, more just saying like when this movie was made at this time, he has that no gives a fuck energy in his performance that like he's happy to have this, like he's not a big star yet, but he's big enough to have some balls, like that's that kind of performance. So I think he's almost like a Freddy Krueger without the makeup. He's kind of got that same approach where he creates this, dream world, and he's got this control over people's desires and thoughts. He's got good jokes, a little bit less punny than Freddy, but still nonetheless. So yeah, I think the Collector's a great character. If they were to do a sequel, they'd have to find some. I don't know if Billy Zane could get back on the stirrups, but they could find who. That's over to you. Who do you think would make a good Collector if they were to do a sequel?
Oh boy, it's so hard because you don't want somebody like super comedic. You want somebody to ride that balancing line. So it's not like you want like a Jim Carrey or like an Eddie Murphy to come in and do this.
Yeah, because like Billy Zane's not really a comedy actor. In fact,
Nope.
he's not. I don't think he's really trying to be funny here as much as he is just reading what's on the page and acting accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Dan Stevens might be a really fun Collector because he's got that kind of charm and wit that I think would go over really well with the character.
That's a good call. Yeah, he'd be an absolute blast to watch on the screener. I'm trying to think of who else I would like. Frank Grillo might not be too bad. I don't know why he just popped into my head.
Yeah.
Frank Grillo is more of like a serious one because like we do get a shot of like a collector like trying to enter the bus.
Yeah, like a
And
Creighton Duke looking motherfucker, you know, kind of like Jason Goes to Hell.
I thought that was him, like Deep Throat from fucking the X Files. That's who I thought. I'm like, yeah, I forgot Creighton Duke is in this movie. And then when he lifted his head up, I'm like, that's not fucking who I thought it was at all.
But also, Creighton Duke is one of the best characters ever exists in any movie ever. So I'll just leave that there.
I want to see if this Arrow video fucking re-release of Jason Goes to Hell is gonna include all of his backstory and stuff.
So I don't know what it will include, but I'm hopeful that because Adam Marcus is working on like a documentary on the Final Friday, and
Okay.
I would love to see that because it's such a curio film in the series, and that it's so like it's the Halloween ends of the Friday the 13th series. It doesn't really make a lot of sense lore wise, but they just fucking went, or rather not Halloween 3. It's the Halloween ends. It's still something to do with Jason. Yeah, I'm also a passionate defender of that, that movie. So
Okay, because the original cut of that movie was 3 hours long. Like,
I'm glad it's not a 3-hour long movie. I'll tell you that much. That there is too much as a good thing, and that's that. 3 hours of Jason is too much Jason.
Yeah, apparently there's this whole. I think I was just listening to the horror version. They just watched this for the last Friday the 13th. And they said that Creighton Duke got a prequel comic book series where it shows him going to Crystal Lake, camping with his wife, and his wife getting murdered by Jason. And then he goes on like this long hunt, like to try to kill Jason and trying to find out all this lore about him and stuff like that. So like it's like a prequel to the Jason X, and I guess like they shot some of it to play in the movie.
I'm looking at it right now. Oh my god. I'm buying these. I'm finding these.
Oh, good luck. I don't know what those came out in like what
93. Yeah, these are old fuckers. These are Topps comics, which like Topps doesn't make comics anymore. I'm gonna find these bad boys.
Yeah, you might be able to read them digitally.
Yeah, but I'm a tactile. Like if there's not like I have like a Creighton Duke shrine anywhere, but like he's such an interesting and weird character in that series. Like he's a bounty hunter that hunts a mythical serial killer. like that's such a weird plot point. Like, and it works because the character or the actor who plays him is like so unhinged in that role where he's breaking his fingers to the bars. I'm getting off topic, but yeah, I'm finding these comic books.
Okay. I mean, he doesn't really hunt Jason. I guess he kind of finds a way to. He only gets it if he gets paid.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, he's in it for the money, but then again, you do what you love. You don't work a day in your life. So
yeah, that's true. I was gonna take a look at the comments here. Jason is boring. Ouch. I haven't seen it in so long. I gotta give it a rewatch.
Jason Goes to Arbitration.
So scary rating out of 10. What would you give this movie?
This is a solid 8.5. It's not like a 9 or a 10 only because I think that
this is scary rating. For how scary.
Oh, like scary rating.
Yeah, how scary.
So it has to be scary. Oh, this is like a 5. Like if this scares you, I could see this maybe scaring someone who's really like averse to horror, but yeah, this is like the Taco Bell mild sauce of horror. This is not gonna scare you.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have more fun with this movie rather than you are gonna be scared. I'd go with like maybe a 3. There's some pretty like gory sequences as well throughout the movie, so if you have a problem with that, then I can see having some issues.
Yeah.
Your rewatchability, and would you recommend this movie?
Yes, and rewatchability, yes. Like this, I don't know if there's a score for this, but like 100. Like this is insanely rewatchable. To the point where like because it is so efficiently made, it's the kind of thing where you don't have to pay full attention to it every time, but you will perk up at certain scenes automatically. Like when you hear Billy Zane say some lines, you're like, okay, time to watch the movie now. It's outstanding. This is one of the most rewatchable movies I own, I'd say, easily.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I recommend this movie to everybody. If you haven't seen it, absolutely check it out. It seems like everybody that's been in the chat so far loves this movie, so I'm glad it's getting its dues. So we do a rating system, and we do a rating system from out of emojis from poop to 100. Poop is clearly being the worst. And okay is kind of like a 2.5 or right in the middle there. And then you got your 100, which would be a perfect 5 out of 5. And you can also do like a low thumbs up or a high thumbs up if you're somewhere in the middle. And we are currently blocked right now because we haven't figured out how to shrink this yet. But Matt, what would you give this movie on a rating?
High thumbs up.
Okay.
High thumbs up. The only reason it's not a perfect film for me, it has a lot to do with that. I think I don't like to dole out those 5s all that often, but I think if you looked at my letterbox, I probably rated this a 5. So I don't know. It's somewhere between that high thumbs up and that 100.
Yeah. See, this to me is like totally a Brendan movie. This is like almost everything I want from a horror movie. I'm giving it a 100. Just a solid 100. I'm not going with the high scale on that one, but just a 100. It's almost a perfect Brendan movie. It's not quite Army of Darkness for me, but it's pretty fucking close.
Tonally, that'd be a great double feature.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like outstanding double feature to play those two together, because you just would have like, it's like going to a comedy show with violence. It's like it's great.
Yeah,
I've never been to a comedy show with violence, so I can't attest to if that's fun or not. But that worked in my head when I said it, and it came out in my mouth. So here we are.
Could be. The Evil Dead musical's got it going on.
That's true, and they have a splash zone, which I hear is incredibly gross.
It wasn't. I went this year, and I got squirted right before the show even like started. They were just like doing like the hey, this is gonna happen pretty much. They aimed it and it got me right square in the fucking face. And it's okay. It was just water with some food dye in it, but it's a lot of fun. Sam's got it up in the chat here. What would y'all rate this movie? Sam, what would you rate this movie? You sat out tonight because this is a boys movie. Which I totally get. She's also, I don't think, the biggest fan of like Army of Darkness, so I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some people don't like their horror and their silly to get mixed up together, and I think that's totally fine. I happen to like it when it's done right. When it's not done right, it's like it's very bad. It's very cringe-inducing. But when it's done right, like this movie or Evil Dead 2, or Army of Darkness, Murder Party, like there's so many good examples of like horror and comedy doing it right. So yeah, I put extra silly in my horror.
Me too. Before we end the stream, Sam says that she cannot rate it. It's been too long since she's seen it.
I appreciate the integrity of not rating it without having enough time to see it again. That is more of that.
Yeah. So Maddie, where can people find you again, just so everybody can go and check out your stuff?
So macabredaily.com or at macabredaily on Instagram, or at macabre_Maddie is my personal page. Please come check us out. We're doing a Dark Sky giveaway this week for the Hatchet collection on Steelbook and the Blackout movie that they just came out with. And then next week, we're doing a giveaway of 2 of the new Storm King comics from John Carpenter's and Sandy King's comic book publishing company. So, yeah. And we got some good interviews coming up this week. Rodney Barnes and Stephen Isles. I think that's it. But, yeah, come check out Macabre Daily. Check out the podcast Core 4 as well on Instagram. Also follow my good friends Mark Loves Horror and Pretty Killer Podcast. So yeah, that's where you can find us doing hood rat things with our friends on the internet.
I'm trying to find your giveaway for the Hatchet movie because
Oh, it hasn't gone up yet.
okay.
It's going up tomorrow. I need to think of a good giveaway, and I kind of blew my load on the Terrifier one because I had such a good idea, and I'm like, damn, hope I get another one of those. So yeah, I'm gonna be a lot of brainstorming tonight after we hop off the stream.
Okay. Yeah, because that's not available in Canada.
Well,
The Hatchet
then
still.
I certainly hope you enter because these are this will be we will Canada is included in our shipping when we do it with our PR like sponsors and everything like that. They're a little more particular, but it's not that much more expensive to send it to Canada from here than it is to send it to Texas. So
Awesome. So everybody go check him out and get involved in his page because it sounds like a lot of fun. You got some stuff going on. Sam is reminding me that we are doing a Friday the 13th, 2009 on Thursday night. That's at 8:30 p.m. EST. Everybody knows that this is one of Sam's jams. So absolutely stay tuned for that. And Matt, I just want to thank you so much for coming on again.
thank you for having me.
Of course, it is always such a blast to get to chat with you.
Same here, Brendan. I appreciate everything you guys do, and thanks for having me on, spewing my nonsense.
Anytime. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Absolutely go check out his stuff. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And always remember to stay spooky.